Former NFL sideline reporter, Minnesota Senate candidate whose primary is tomorrow, Michele Tafoya, and former NBA player Chris Dudley. Chris, I mean, it is almost comical to watch at this point.
Well, it's unfortunate because I'm a believer in the product. I think the women's game has gotten so much better. So I'm a season ticket holder of the Portland Fire. I believe in the game, but the sideshow and talking about it seems like we're talking about everything but what's on the what's happening on the floor. And I think the WNBA will be much better off when they're actually talking about the games itself, because it is a good product. And I saw the Portland play the Fever last week, and it was great basketball.
So I think you're actually advocating for, I don't know, just sports and people playing them. I think that's where we're at, Michele. But this is Sophie Cunningham's response to Giovanni Carrington saying white privilege after she clotheslined her. I think the league is taking care of that. This has nothing to do with race. Last year I did the same thing and I got kicked out, and I deserve to be kicked out. There's no reason even to play that card. Why did she go to the race card?
I don't know, but I think this has to do with your social justice monster that you've been describing here. You know, recently the Indiana Fever played here in my hometown in Minneapolis against the Lynx, and we stood outside to support Sophie Cunningham, a bunch of us. And we were shouted down by this opposition group who, said that trans women are real women and they should play in the WNBA. Look, one of the protesters on my side of the argument happened to be Black. And the opposite side, the side that was all about the trans women, came over to her, singled her out and said, you should be on our side. Why are you basically betraying your race? So this is a social justice animal. I don't understand it, except that we in America have sadly cultivated a victim, sort of a victimhood Olympics. Sure. And a victim, this whole idea of victimhood is something that makes you different and unique. And it's sabotaged this game.
Oh, no, totally. It's totally. I mean, Chris, Royce White, though, the second former NBA player, now he's declaring for the WNBA draft. Look, I think there's a chance that he puts this thing back. I mean, he says, I'm pro-life, sometimes identify as a Black woman. Why can't people on the left be more supportive? He's basically using all the terms. And I think this actually may be the only way to restore just the game to the game and get all the other garbage out.
Yeah, and it may be. I mean, I don't know his particular situation, and I saw Freedom Cantor did as the same. And I think if nothing else, it's going to force the issue being addressed, and really, like the Olympics has done, and force the issue you have to have some guidelines. Otherwise, this is going to continue, and it's going to continue to be a distraction. And they need to be able to figure that out and move on.
Yeah, well, Michele, your primary is tomorrow, and you're running against Royce White. He's not going to be able to be a senator if he's drafted to the, the women's WNBA.
Maybe he can juggle two careers. I think we're all capable of doing a little of that. But seriously, and Enes Kanter Freedom is a friend of mine who did this the other day first. And I do think, as Chris said, it's a really interesting way to back the league into a corner of saying, okay, so wait a minute. We said inclusion is everything. We can't exclude. We said, women who identify as women or men who identify as women are women because they say they are. Right. So now these two guys, former NBA, first round draft picks, say, guess what? I now am a woman. And now they have to deal with this. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be a lot of spin, a lot of word salads. We're going to hear a lot of stuff come out of the league, and it's sad because I covered the first few years with Reggie Miller. We covered the WNBA. I was one of the three women who did play-by-play along with Hannah Storm and Robin Roberts, and it was a celebration of these great female athletes who had just come off a gold medal win in the Olympics, and now it's like we're gaining momentum. Let's market this, and it started to, and then you get the goose, the golden goose and Caitlin. And just sabotage. Well, it's astonishing.
Yeah, Chris, I remember back in the day when women's soccer came out, I was like, I'd rather watch the women's soccer team because they don't flop around on the ground and cry like little girls when they have a minor foul or something like that. So I was like a loyal viewer of the women's soccer team. And then they started coming out with all this agenda stuff. Yeah. I think that's like the death of any sport.
Well, it's with sports bring people together. And I went to the opening night in Portland and with my daughter who played in college. And it was literally, she started to have a tear, get emotional that, Dad, I never thought I'd see the Moda Center where the Blazers play sold out for the women's game. This is incredible. And it was an incredible environment. And you want to be able to be in sports, should be bringing everyone together and celebrating that. And it's one of the few things, as well as entertainment, that does have that purpose. And WNBA has to be very careful not to divide, do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening here. And it's something that's it's unfortunate. As you said, you don't want to lose this moment for women's sports. This is really a great opportunity, and what the league has been able to do. And they're going to have to address it with salaries getting higher, with the opportunities, the exposure. Yeah. These may not be the last two who are biological male, who file to play in the WNBA. Yeah, they're going to have to address the issue, just like the Olympics did.
100%.
There's a woman in France who is dominating the women's leagues in France.
Yeah.
She may be next.
Yeah, exactly. He. Well, Michele, Chris, we appreciate both of you. Michele.
Well, good luck, Michele.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope you guys get out and vote tomorrow in your state.
Thank you.
All right, coming up.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.